on 10.1. All right, so this one is that's the ice cream cone one, right? It says B and D are points of tangent C. Find the value of x. So I'm going to set these two sides equal to each other. 4x squared minus 18x minus 10 would equal x squared plus x plus 4. As soon as you see the x squareds and the x, unless the x squareds are going to cancel out, you're going to have to factor. So I'm going to get everything to one side. So I'm going to subtract the x squared. I get 3x squared. I'm going to subtract the x. I get negative 19x. And I'm going to subtract the 4. And I'm going to get negative 14. Equals 0. And then you've got a term in front of the x squared. So most of you choose to first and last, but this could also have been done trial and error. If you're doing first times last, 3 times negative 14, you get negative 42. Factors of negative 42 that sum to negative 19 would be negative 21 and positive 2. Replace your middle term. And then factor by grouping. So from the first one, I can take out a 3x. I get x minus 7. Second one, I can take out a positive 2, and I get x minus 7. And then x minus 7 comes out. 3x plus 2 gets grouped together. And then we split and solve. So I get x equals 7, 3x equals negative 2, and x equals negative 2/3. Now I have to check to make sure I can keep both those answers because that one is negative. I have to see that if I plug it in, it would stay positive. Otherwise, the length, like if the length is negative, I can't keep it. So 7 works if I plug it back in. And this is kind of where a calculator would come in handy. Because if I were quickly to plug back in the 7s, I could see if it works on both these sides. 7 does. And then I could do the same with the negative 2/3 to see if it works. I think it did. So I think you got to keep both of them. But you would check them both.
This one you just set it equal to each other.
Correct. Yep. You only had to submit the odd ones. That is correct. You could do the evens for extra practice. Yeah. 10.3. All right, 9 on 10.3 says to find the radius of C. So this is a diagram that has two chords that are perpendicular to the center. Well, no, sorry, to the radius that leads to the center. And those would be equidistant, which means these two are the same. So 4x plus 1 would equal x plus 8. I'm going to solve for x, so subtract the x. 3x plus 1 equals 8. Subtract the 1. 3x equals 7. Divide by 3. And x is 7/3. But then it's not asking just for x, right? It's asking for the radius. So the radius in any direction is going to close in right triangles. So you could pick any of those. Let's say I pick this bottom one. So I'm going to pick this triangle here. The bottom is half the 15, so that's 7.5. This part, the vertical leg, would be x plus 8. So 7/3 plus 8 would be 7/3 plus 24/3, or 31/3. With a calculator, it's a 10.3. Like that would have been easier as the calculated 10.3. And then the radius is what you're missing. So I would do 7.5 squared plus 10.3 squared equals r squared. And then I would use the calculator to do the 7.5 squared, the 10.3 squared, and then square root it. So r squared would be 162.34, and then we would square root it. And that's where 12.7 comes from. I feel like this question, this type of question is on your test, but I feel like the numbers are easier. But the process, you're going to see. Yeah.
Big process.
All right, Mars, what was your question? Same theorem, right? you've got two, well, reverse, but you have two chords that are equidistant from the center, which means those chords are congruent. So 6x minus 5 would equal 13 plus 4x. And then if I subtract the 4x and add the 5, I get 2x equals 18, divide by 2. X is 9. But it doesn't want x, it wants the radius. So whether you plug it into the top or to the bottom, either of those chords would be the same. This would be 54 minus 5, so 49 would be either of these. When I close it in to make my radius the hypotenuse, there's a triangle there that's 18, half of 49, so 24.5, and the radius. And I would do 18 squared plus 24.5 squared equals the r squared.
So the process is going to be the same length?
Correct, but those are both the same theorem used in different ways, but the numbers are easier. So r would be 30.4 on that one.
Can you help with number 9 on 10.1?
Yeah. Um, 10.1, number 9. Okay. Which, this was a question similar to the one on your quiz. On the quiz, it had the radius, right? And then if this is tangent, if AB is tangent to circle C, then this is a right triangle. So I would set it up as r squared plus 4.8 squared equals r plus 3.6 squared. And I would say the same thing about this as the last one. The process is going to be there. The numbers are slightly easier. That's all. R squared plus 4.8 squared would be 23.04. Would equal, and here's a mistake a lot of you made on the quiz, distributing the exponent. You can't distribute an exponent when it's a binomial squared. You have to expand and FOIL.
And dash.
No, FOIL. R squared plus
Oh,
3.6
yeah.
R plus 3.6 R plus 3.6 times 3.6, 12.96. And you get R squared plus 7.2 R plus 12.96 equals R squared plus 23.04. Subtract the R squareds and they're going to cancel out. I get 23.04 equals 7.2 R plus 12.96. Subtract the 12.96. $7.2R equals 10.08, and then divide both sides by 7.2. And R equals 1.4. So again, easier numbers. Maybe there's not decimals on your...
That's exactly what I did. I don't know why I thought I was wrong.
Oh, did you check your answers?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what the answer was, right?
R squared.
Okay, so 10-4, number 11 is a quadrilateral inscribed in a circle. In a circle. So the opposite angles are going to be supplementary, and it gives you the part of your curves here, okay? It gives you all but one arc, so you could do 152 plus 80 plus 84, and then that's 316. Subtract that from 360, and I get this one's 44. So there's a couple different ways to do this. If I wanted to find 4x, that's my inscribed angle, and the arc it intercepts is the 84 plus the 44. So 128. It's an inscribed angle, so it's half that. So 4x would equal 64, and x would equal 16. And then go back the other way. 7y is that angle, which intercepts this arc. The 152 plus the 44 is 196. And it equals half that. So 7y equals 98, and y equals 14.
Wait, what? How did you get y again?
Which part? So this whole thing, you add the 44 plus the 152, that's 196, which is the angle this one intersects. And then it's half that. So 7y equals half of 196 or 98.
I got 28. I forgot to have it.
Oh. Remember, inscribed, it's half. Questions? 10, yep. So this one, it would be the inscribed quadrilateral. I don't know nothing about the arcs. So these two would add up to 180. So I would do 180 minus 108, and I'd get 72. That's x. And then these two add up to 180, and they have congruency marks. So it'd be 180 divided by 2, which is 90. Again, odds were collected. 10 is for extra review. So you didn't have to turn in the evens, but the odds you should have turned in.
And are they going to be graded?
For the odds?
No, for completion.
For completion, yes. But I know you also had the answers, so you have to have work with that completion.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah.
Can you do number 6 on 10.3?
On 10.3?
Yeah.
6 on 10.3. All right, so this time it's giving you the radius. Well, the directions say just find the value of x, right? That 90 degrees is totally just there to throw you off. These are all radii. I mean, technically it's telling you that that would be your diameter, so then you'd know it's radii. But if it goes from the center to the side, it's a radius. And all of those are congruent. So 6x plus 9 equals 8x minus 13. Subtract the 6x. Add the 13. And you get 22 equals 2x. So x is 11. So 5 is your chord and your diameter. If the chord is, which is this is my chord, if it's perpendicular to the diameter, then that diameter bisects it. So it cuts it into 2 congruent parts. So x minus 1 equals 6. And x would equal 7. And that's, you just had to find x. Just make sure you read the directions, because sometimes it might say, okay, then what is PT or something like that. You'd have to know it's 6. Yep.
Can you do
Oh.
135 instead on or 10.4?
On 10 for, you said 1 through 5? Yeah. So this, and I would strongly recommend you write all over those things. Like, it's going to be harder to try to do this stuff in your head. So if it says LM is 84 and KN is 116, I got to find all those missing parts. So first of all, if this is, what's the first one? JKL. Did I write on top of J? That's J, right? JKL would be JKL. And that is an angle whose, at the end points of the outsides of those angles make your diameter, right? Or it inscribes the semicircle, which means it's half of the 180, and that's 90 degrees. Then MKL is an inscribed angle. That's half, so that would be 42. KMN, change the color. KMN is also an inscribed angle that intersects the 116, so it's half that, or 58. KLN inscribes that same angle. Oh, no, it doesn't. Wait. This is separate. Right, because the 116 is KN. Yeah, it does. It inscribes the same. So it's also half of that 116, or 58. MJ is the arc. MJ J is here. And it's twice the arc. Nope, hang on. LM. This would be 180. What did I miss? JKM, JKM.